It's not scary.
Yeah, it's not. It's not at all. Let's see. 45 minutes in to the movie. The scariest... These are the scares. You ready for this shit? Flies. No, like, not giant space flies or, these flies eat somebody or, like, nothing.
A guy walks into a room and about 10 flies land on his face.
He's like, oh, shit! There's a hissing cat.
And when we say a hissing cat, if you just imagine like a witch's cat hissing, that's basically what it is.
You ever seen that corny Halloween decoration that's just the cat going?
Yeah.
It's that.
It's that. But that's like, 30 minutes into the film, if that.
And get this shit, man. The fucking house, the haunted, evil Amityville house, steals $1,500.
That's probably the most frightening thing that it does.
It's the most substantive. Like,
yeah.
If you go to your house and see, like, flies, god damn it.
Get out of here, cat.
Yeah, there's a fucking cat on our property. Get the hell out of here.
Them cats are always spraying. You smell their piss everywhere. But $1,500 disappears. I'd tear my fucking house to
like,
shreds.
where the fucking god damn it.
But it's not scary.
It's not like, oh man, what if my house steals my money?
It's just unfortunate. It's like, oh shit, $1,500 done disappeared.
There's a scene where one of the kids gets his hand caught in a window. It's like...
Right, which you think is a completely horrible scene. To me, it was bad, but at least, like, for me, I remember thinking at that moment, like, because there was blood. Yeah. I was like, man, at least fucking somebody got hurt.
At least someone got hurt in this horror movie.
You know what I mean? Like, that was it, though. It really isn't scary. It's just like, ouch.
It still just reads like a household accident, like the window fell on his hand. Ooh.
Right. At one point, this hobo guy visits, but he's not even really a hobo. Like, we wrote down hobo, but he's more just like a guy from down the street.
A schlubby neighbor.
Yeah, just like a normal
dude. Like an Archie Bunker type. Yeah, who comes by with some beers like, welcome you to the neighborhood, got some beer.
Hello. Everybody wanted to come over to welcome you to the neighborhood. It's all right, isn't it?
Right, and then she turns around and...
To answer the static phone.
Which is another thing.
Another repeating scare in the movie as she picks up the phone. But there's static.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, or they can't... Yeah, you can't hear who you're talking to. Yeah, that's a big thing in this film, and apparently that's a scary thing. To me...
When she turns around, he's gone. The hobo guy. Not hobo, like Archie Bunker, her schlubby neighbor with the beer. He's gone. He's just gone.
He just disappears.
And it's like, ooh, the neighbor decided to leave.
Right.
Like, is any of this sounding scary? Well, guess what? Those are like your big scares in a fucking classic horror movie. Like, this is the fucking story that scared the shit out of America. People were like, oh my god, the Amityville house! Flies and hissing cats!
Yeah.
And missing money and hands getting caught in windows and people showing up to your house and shitty reception on your phone. Ah!
There was one scary thing in the film, as you pointed out, though.
Yeah.
And it's unintentionally frightening. The nun aunt that comes to visit the house is incredibly disturbing.
Matthew and Gregory and Harry. Where's your mother, dear?
She just like, take one look at her face and you're like, this should be the villain of the movie. The best part of her performance, though, was when she puked her guts out.
Yeah, she just retches, out of nowhere.
She comes in the house and she's like, immediately she's like, oh, I need to leave.
sorry. I must have set it too near the edge. I have to go.
I don't understand.
I don't feel well at all. Look, I bought your favorite tea, and I'll make you a cup. I have to go. I really feel terrible.
If you just rested a while, you'd feel a lot.
I can't stay.
I feel the presence. Oh, I feel sick. I gotta go. And it's like, don't leave. I gotta leave. And she leaves. She drives down the road a bit. And the next thing you know, she opens up the car door. And she's just...
it's the most like overdone retch, and I remember we all giggled at it, so maybe that's but it's not scary. There's nothing frightening in the film, but even with that, the film suffers from horrible fucking pacing.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like you don't have any scares to look forward to, and what's there in the place of scares is just like, I guess what they're trying to do is like build the atmosphere, but they don't.
Okay, so there's this priest, right? He's the guy that we talked about with the flies.
Yeah, the priest.
He's a huge character in this film. And completely unnecessary.
25 minutes of screen time at least.
Empty.
I mean, at least
plotting.
It felt that way. Maybe it was 10 or 15. I don't know. There was a bunch of screen time given to him.
Too much.
Way too much.
We thought about how to talk about this, and all we can tell you is that the plot goes nowhere. It ends nowhere. The priest goes blind.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in the park, and another priest visits him, and he goes, "Father, would you like to get some food?" And he just sits and stares, and that's it.
Would you like to hear it? It certainly is beautiful here. Why don't I arrange so we can have our lunch here? Would you like that, Father?
His entire character exists for this meaningless moment of another priest's visit. It's off, so it goes nowhere. And that's just one example of the horrible plot of this film.
Yes. There's so many other things. There's other scenes that just go nowhere. Like, I remember I was sitting there the whole time we were watching it, like, after certain scenes, I would just say, like, that was another pointless scene.
Yeah.
There's another pointless scene. Because there's just so many scenes that go nowhere, and there's scenes that I'm like, I'll put a bookmark on that to see if that's a pointless scene or if they're setting up a later scene. And then usually it would be like, nope, it was pointless. Like, there's a scene where George Lutz, the main guy, the father of the family that moved into the Amityville house, he goes to the library, and he's looking at this book about, I don't know, demonic possession or whatever, and he steals it. And it's like, okay, first, you're at a library. I'm pretty sure you could just go check that book out. Right. You don't need to steal the fucking book. But it leads nowhere. The book is never mentioned again. He never goes to his wife and says, "Look what I found in this book."
I think the most poignant thing about that is that TJ said this happens late in the movie. And TJ, by the time this movie had conditioned TJ to know that book was never going to be brought up again. Because so much of the shit had just fallen through completely. So many of the little subplots and sub-characters that they introduce, their stories end nowhere, and they add nothing to the film. Not even exposition. Because they come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're just the microfilm tutorial.
Yeah.
In the library. His wife, she decides that, there's creepy shit going on in this house. I'm going to go check and see, like, the history of the house and, like, what happened and, like, learn about this murder and shit. And she goes, and, it's like one of the old movies where they look at the microfilm in the library. They look at the old newspaper clips that are stored in that fucking electronic system of whatever. We don't use it anymore because...
It doesn't matter. That's the point.
Yeah, but she's sitting there. I've seen this in a million movies where they do this, And never has any movie, except for Amityville, decided it was necessary to explain how it works.
It goes down like, ma'am, what you need to do is you load the microfilm into the side of the machine here, and then you turn the handle, okay? If you turn it this way, the microfilm is going to move left across your bed.
I think this has all the good stuff. I mean the major coverage. If there's anything else that you need, they want to see, I'll go back there and get it.
No, I think this will be fine.
Okay, that's what I thought. This is the November 14th issue. That's the day after the murders. Now that crank over there, you turn that crank
That one there?
Right there. It advances the film.
Fine.
Each frame is a whole page. And to get it in focus, you just turn this knob right here.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay? You all set now?
I'm fine.
Good.
I mean, it's that bad. It just goes on and on. Everybody in the room was like, why is... This is not microfilm the movie. Like, why? Just show her looking at it. But it's just it's one example of this shit that they seem to have wanted this movie to be over 2 hours long.
Yeah, like, just anything we can do to inflate it. Anything we can do.
There was the sex scene in it.
Yeah, the sex scene.
Like, I know that, like, maybe it was popular to have a really bad sex scene back in the 70s, but for us, it was just another example of, like, something that, like, it wasn't even hot.
No, not in the slightest.
It was just uncomfortable.
Okay, like, there's not... I mean, I know this is not the only movie to do this, because I've seen this in other old movies, but it was one of those sex scenes, and I mean, we'll put clips up of it and shit, that there's no thrusting. Like, there's none of, like, oh, yeah give it to me. You know, it's just like, they just kind of, like, ride around.
They're just hugging. They just hold one another, like... I'm not. Okay,
That's
it.
I
don't want to go. I don't want to
That's
go. Any,
it.
I don't want to go any farther in the.
That's
demo.
as far as they go in the fucking movie.
That's it. Yeah, basically.
Is that sexy? No.
So why is it there?
And it's not there for like a sec. It's there for like 3 minutes. It feels like
Yeah.
it just goes on and on and on, and it's not a good sex scene.
I mean, look.
Like if they wanted to fucking get some titties in there and fucking like have them bouncing around and shit. And
They
be like,
were.
yeah.
They were. There were some.
But
titties.
not during the sex scene.
Not during.
though.
Yeah. Prior to the sex scene, you get like a glance at Margot Kidder's boob, which. Yay.
And then, but during the actual sex scene, it's like it's all shot from here up.
Yep.
You know, and it's like
It's a long kiss. I don't know.
That's pretty much all they got. Another thing. This is nothing to do with actual pacing, but it's just another thing that makes the movie very difficult to watch and enjoy. Is the soundtrack just sounds like someone just. It sounds like a rusty swing set.
Yeah.
Or someone just scratching a blackboard. And I understand it's supposed to be like, oh, it's unnerving. It's not unnerving, it's annoying.
I guess it would be unnerving if, like...
Or if it was used sparingly or
if
something.
If an hour and a half into this movie, you weren't completely groaning from how many times you'd heard it. Like, it's just a constant thing. It's like somebody dragging, like, take a rusty chain... and then take a salad fork and drag the fork along the chain.
Amy!
Just and by the end of the movie, it's another thing you want to stop.
Yeah. There's so much you want to stop. I mean, the characters, other than George, are like non-entities. There's just so much about the movie that's just pain. Like, so many pointless scenes. So many annoying scenes. We'll get into some more of them later. Let's just skip to the ending of this movie. Describe this fucking ending to them.
Right.
George has, like, a friend.
That works for him.
Yeah.
And like his wife... is suddenly
psychic.
revealed. Yeah, just suddenly she's a psychic. And she's like, I got a bad feel. And she just feels impelled to solve the house's mystery.
He told us to wait out here.
Jeff, I gotta see it for myself.
I thought that place gave you the creeps.
What? Those vibes ever strong. It really pulls on you. I gotta see the basement. That's where it's coming from.
Like Miss Cleo. And earlier in the movie, it's funny, because earlier in the movie, like, she got out of the car and she looked at the house. She's like, I don't want nothing to do with that house.
Is it a small business?
Believe me, we do. Getting smaller all the time.
What's the matter?
I don't want to go any closer.
Carolyn, what are you talking about?
It gives me the creeps.
But then once it's convenient to the plot, all of a sudden she can't wait to get in the fucking house, you know?
So, whatever. She's introduced. It's just a big what? Like, where did she... Why? Because the whole movie has introduced so many characters that go nowhere that this weird one that you saw an hour ago, you're like, oh, that's the one that's going to solve it.
Yeah, and then they discover the weird red room or whatever, and that's where the heart of the house or some stupid shit. Of all the things in the movie that are not scary, the pig.
It's so bad that you said you didn't even recognize it.
I didn't know it was a pig. To me, like, I remember reading the book, okay, a long time ago when I was a kid. We didn't reread it to do this review or anything, but I remember reading it as a kid, and there was the pig monster, and it was pretty legitimately scary in the book, if I remember correctly, which I remembered this movie being good, so don't trust my fucking memory. But at least there was some, like, atmosphere around the pig monster. In this, there's no build-up to it whatsoever.
No.
George just comes home, he looks in the window, there's a pig monster.
Pig in the window.
And it's not like a guy in a pig mask, it's just some weird, bad special effect. And I swear, like, when I saw it, I'm like... What is that? And you're like, it's a pig? And I'm like, oh.
You know what it reminds me of? Like, those Halloween decorations that you tape up over the window, and then you put a light behind it, it makes it look like there's a shadow.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like something like that you bought out of a bargain bin at the Halloween store, and they're like, I'm gonna make my house look like a spooky haunted house this year. It's that bad. It's just like, what? Where? There was no pig mentioned. There's no pig, like, subtext in the film. There's just a pig, a spooky pig in the window.
Spooky pig. Because if there's one thing that's terrifying, pig.
Pig in the window. Man, if there's something that'll get me to run away from a house quicker than a pig in the window, I can't tell you what it is. It's like, what? And then nothing ever comes of it either. It's not like the pig attacks him once he gets into the house.
So, I mean, like, apparently, like, after spending all this time in this house with all this, scary stuff going on, the family finally has enough, and they decide, like, we gotta get the fuck out of here, and they like load up their car, and I mean, there's stuff happening, like, George fucking has an axe and shit, and he's chopping the fucking door down, like... Here's Georgie, and it actually,
like, we wanted to say that, like, man, it ripped off The Shining,
but it actually came out before The Shining.
Yeah, and it really is reminiscent of that scene too.
So maybe The Shining ripped it off. Maybe it's like Stanley Kubrick's like, that's the one scene that works. I don't know.
But it doesn't,
by
the way. It doesn't add any tension because immediately afterwards he's docile again and helping everybody into the car.
And there's this weird scene where Margot Kidder's face gets, like, really aged.
Yeah, Yeah.
And you looked at me and you said, like...
It was like looking at Margot Kidder now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it was weird because she aged and it's like, oh, it's Margot Kidder. She's even more recognizable to me as Margot Kidder with the weird fucked up age makeup on, so...
That's bad.
But who knows why, by the way. I can't remember why, for the life of me, she aged.
I don't either. We just watched it a week ago, like less.
Yeah.
And like, I don't remember what the fucking sequence of events was. At this point in the movie, I'm just like, yeah, the family's so bored, they're leaving too. It's like, he looks down at her, he's like, oh, she's old now. That doesn't make sense. Let's get out of here. Fuck this house.
Right. And they drive away.
They load up all their shit. No, well, they start to drive away.
Right.
And then the little girl's like, the dog, Harry's in the house. And I'm like, they better get that fucking dog. And they do.
Right.
George jumps out of the car. He runs back to get the dog. He's going down these stairs and he falls into this fucking pit of oil, basically. It's like, oh.
Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea.
And then the dog, at first it looks like the dog's attacking him, but then I guess the dog is actually helping him, and they run off, they get in the van, and they drive away, and that's the fucking end.
Right.
It's not much of a climax. It's just like, hey, some boring stuff happened. It was not scary at all. And then we drove away.
Nobody dies at the end. Everybody lived.
Everybody's fine.
Thanks for your popcorn money.
No refunds. But no, I mean, like at the time, people were like, yeah, Amityville, scary.
Spooky. I remember being spooked out by it as a kid. I remember going in the video rental store and looking at that house and going, man, that's an evil fucking house.
It was just like, it was so in the culture at that time, like, it's scary, you're scared by this.
Yeah, that house made Margot Kidder age and then return back before she escaped unharmed.
With her family.
With her whole family and the dog. Like, what the whatever. Okay, so... Jumping, I guess, from the first movie, how does the second movie stack up?
Yeah, because after we were done watching this piece of shit, it wasn't like we could have any really reprieve from this story, because the second we decided, like, when we started, we're going to watch both of them back to back.
Right.
And, like, by the time we were done watching the original, I think everyone was, like, regretting that we made that decision. Because we're just like, fuck. I even think we ordered both of them at the same time so that we couldn't, like, back out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because we kind of knew, like, man, after this first one's over, we might not want to... But...
We did it. Back to back.
Did it.
So we were fresh from the first film watching the second one.
Now, we're gonna spare you guys going through this film like we just did the last one. Let's just fucking compare... We'll tell you the differences,
right.
Really. The biggest difference is just the character of George. In the first movie, George is a sympathetic character. You know, James Brolin, while he doesn't play it like the most subtle ever or something, like, it's a pretty reasonably decent performance, and you can kind of really feel, like, the stress and strain being put on this guy, but none of it really seems supernatural.
No.
Like, all the stress on him seems like his wife's nagging on him. He's been talked into buying this house he couldn't really afford.
It feels like there's a journey with George in the first movie, where he goes from being kind of a nice guy to being kind of crazy, and the house is really worn on him psychologically. The second movie doesn't really work out that way.
No, in the second movie, by the way, Ryan Reynolds plays George now.
Oh, God!
In the beginning of the movie, he's a nice guy. Totally supportive to his wife.
He's Ryan Reynolds.
Totally understanding. I'm a nice guy. I'm Ryan fucking
I'm
Reynolds.
funny and witty, and I've got good comedic timing.
Yeah, that's me. Ryan
I'm also
Reynolds.
hot.
Yeah, I look good. Yeah. And then the second they move into the Amityville house, fuck you, cut. Fuck you, kid.
Right,
Shit.
right.
Ah!
Not the basement. My office. You listen to me. You don't go down there. Understand?
George is immediately insane in this film. Like, as soon as he gets to the house, gets his stuff unpacked, he starts having murder thoughts. And there's nothing like that in the first movie.
No, I mean, like, that's not even really a trajectory it takes. I mean, it messes with that a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's not the main thrust. It's not like a Shining thing where it's about George's descent into madness. It's really about the house tormenting this family and maybe
bringing him to the brink.
Yeah, and like, it's stressing him out and shit. In this movie, it's just like, the house made George evil instantly, magically.
Ryan Reynolds' brink is a lot, like, it's a lot shallower than James Brolin's. Let's put it that way. Like, he gets right to the brink.
Wipe that stupid look off your face and go to bed. Run.
The real George Lutz, the basis for this character in these films, actually sued over this film for the way he was portrayed in the movie because they still wanted to say, oh, it's Amityville, it's a true story. Now, I happen to believe George Lutz made up all this Amityville shit to begin with, so I think he's a liar as well, but doesn't really give the studio the excuse to like, I mean, it really is defamation level shit that they fucking make him do in this movie. Like, in the first movie, George Lutz, we mentioned, goes back to save his dog.
Right.
In this movie, George Lutz chops his fucking dog apart. The dog that in the first movie he saved. And like, this is a real dog that actually existed. There was a real Harry the dog that was the family pet of the Lutzes.
Right.
And guess what? He wasn't murdered with a fucking axe.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's just not how shit went down.
There's a scene in the second film where George is forcing Billy, the little kid, to hold a log.
Yeah.
And he
hold my log, Billy.
And he's like, hold this log, and then he chops it.
Yeah.
With an axe.
While he's holding it.
Right? And he's doing this over and over again.
Now hold it steady. If you get shaky, I get shaky.
They're insinuating that happened. That George Lutz, like, abused and attempted to murder little Billy. Like, it goes that far. The George in the original film never really tries to kill. He breaks the door down with an axe, but then they all escape. Like, there's no murder.
There's no attempted murder.
No.
And, like, that's the whole thing. There's this weird thing that goes without the film through Billy where it's like, oh, it's Billy's dog.
Yeah.
So there's, like, an antagonism, like, between George and Billy. By the way, Billy was not the kid's real name. And by the way, Billy is a terrible name to use for a little boy in a movie. Because it's just, like, generic as shit. Like, little Billy. But, yeah, I mean, like, Billy, there's, like, a part where he's watching, like, home movies. Like, right after the log scene, too.
Yeah.
Like, right after this scene where he's torturing this kid and making the kid hold a piece of wood while he chops it.
Yeah.
And it flies apart, and this, kid could get seriously injured by this, obviously.
It cuts
terrifying him, yeah.
It cuts directly to George cozied up in the basement.
Wrapped up in a blankie.
Yeah,
like,
wrapped in a blankie, watching home movies, reminiscing about the way things used to be. It makes no sense.
And Billy's face in the fucking scene, like, it does this weird, like, totally corny, totally terrible special effect, like, almost worse than the pig shit from the first movie.
His face goes all weird, but it's
scary.
just obvious. Aside from George being completely different, being a psychopathic killer in this film, which, remember, based on a real guy that actually sued because of this film. So, I don't know what they thought was going to happen. Like, in this film, we'd like to dial you up, Mr. Lutz. We'd like to take you to the next plateau. Well, what would that mean? Well, we'd like to make you a fucking homicidal maniac. And a completely unrepentant douchebag that nobody in the film likes.
How did you get so fucking stupid? What?
Besides George, there were some pretty stark differences. The biggest one that we talked about was the babysitter scene, right?
Yeah.
In the first movie, the babysitter is this little mousy...
You gonna be okay?
And she's totally dorky, wearing a huge sweater. You can't... If there's any tits down there, they're totally covered up by sweater. And she's like a bookworm, like, oh, gee shucks, man. You know, like total, like, fucking whatever. And then in the new movie...
She's
you wonder if they ordered a prostitute instead of a babysitter, man.
She's completely the opposite. It's like super hot babysitter. So they decided to go a completely different route with that.
And the personality too, like the first girl, like, oh,
I wasn't sick. I just didn't like meatloaf.
Let's get you into your pajamas.
Yeah.
Now she's like,
some people say his tongue is fake. I think it's all him.
I'm a bad girl. I'm a bad babysitter. I'm naughty.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy, little 12-year-old Billy, want to come spank my hot ass? You know, it's like, she's like, there's a scene where they literally, like, they cut from a scene of George and his wife at a restaurant. By the way, in that scene, George is, like, very non-subtly, now that he's out of the house, like, I feel okay now.
Yeah, which is
But then they cut immediately to her tits.
Yeah.
Like, just side view of tit, and then it pans up to her face.
Yeah.
Like, let's start with what matters, and then go up here, you know?
They really wanted to reinforce this idea that she was bad, too, because there's a whole scene where she's, like, smoking pot in the bathroom.
Be right out.
Nothing like that. So I assume that the babysitter involved in the original Lutz case is a real person. So I wonder how she feels about going from a pigtailed, precocious little girl to like, I'm a fucking whore. She tries to seduce Billy, who's clearly like 12 and she's like 19 in this film, right?
So do you French?
And just, you know, like, and she tries to seduce a 12-year-old.
And not only that, she tells them about the murders that happened in their house, but not like in a like, oh, I need to sit down, kids. You need to know this.
I really shouldn't be telling you this. Your parents are gonna be pissed. It's okay.
It starts.
They got chopped up. They got shot in their little beds, and they bled to death. It's pretty sick that you guys sleep on those beds where those kids were murdered.
A rifle. He went room to room, splattering their heads as they slept. He killed his brothers in this very room. Right here. In these beds.
Yeah.
And you almost like can see her like touching her pussy when it's like, oh yeah. They fucking bled out like fucking stuck pigs. Ah, schlick, schlick, schlick.
Everything
like,
she does is sexualized.
Over the top. Like, I'm like, you know, I mean, like, you almost feel like watching it, you're like, holy shit, Anita Sarkeesian has a point. What the fuck? It's horrible. And
she gets trapped in the closet.
The girl literally, like, as soon as the closet door closes, she becomes, like, unnaturally freaked out by it and starts literally like and like to the point where her hands are bleeding and shit.
Bloody handed.
Like instantly, like
there's no reason for her to be freaked out. We don't know as an audience why she's freaking out. Like maybe there's a storyline behind it in the book. I don't remember. But in the movie, it just happened.
And at least in the remake, you could say that there was like, oh, the door closed because she's this little bitch and she's evil and, you know, look what she did to these kids. They made her like a bad person just so they could like justify the scene where she's in the closet, you know. And
to be honest, though, the scene does work better.
It does. It honestly
on
works
every
better
level
in the original. I mean, in the remake because, well, with one exception, they did choose a better closet door in the original.
That's true. The closet door in the remake is one of those wood slat things that, a 2-year-old could toddle into and snap.
But what happens in the closet is totally more interesting. Like, in the first movie, the door closes, she's stuck in the closet. That's pretty much it.
The end.
You know, there's no reason for her to be scared. In the second movie, the little girl who she used to babysit for, she forces her to, like, finger bang her bloody head wound.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever seen it done.
I've never seen
and
it
it's very
done before.
it's explicitly done. And I thought, like, after watching both of these movies, we both thought, like, that's probably the most memorable thing about both of them is that finger bang head wound thing.
And just FYI, if you want to know what the best scene in the first one was, it was honestly, like, not anything scary. It was a scene where George is talking to a caterer.
Yeah.
And I'll just...
Hey, listen to me, pal. I don't like lectures. And I don't like being hassled in the men's room. I'm gonna write you a check. Either that's good enough for you, or you're gonna eat your own goddamn food.
Alright, so remember that shitty priest from the first movie? You know, there was a scene we actually didn't talk about when we were talking about the first movie that's kind of funny. The priest kind of just shows up on moving in day, and
he's kind of...
He knocks on the door once, like, tentatively.
Nobody answers, and then he hears the giggle of a child.
Like children inside. He hears like children, and he just kind of like goes in.
Yeah, he's lured deeper into the house
by the sounds of children.
By the sounds of giggling children.
You know, he's a priest, so, you know, the joke writes itself. I don't think we have to fucking make it explicit.
No.
But, you know.
There it is, though.
He's walking through the house like,
the kid on the roof scene.
This is a scene that's not in the original. Maybe it's in the book. I don't remember. But the kid is on the roof.
What are you doing up here?
The distance from the top of the roof to the ground just seems to arbitrarily change based on the needs of the scene. Like,
at some point,
we see both George and his wife climbing up the roof to get the girl.
Kelsey!
God damn it! Kelsey! Wait! And then the little girl kind of rolls down. The mom tries to help her, but right at the last second they catch her, and she just lowers her to George on ground floor.
God! He's not slipping! God!
Yeah, like all of a sudden George wasn't climbing, like he's just on the deck, like, yeah!
Oh yeah, I got her! George is not the only thing that's just completely changed in these films, completely made up. Just taken out of nothing. Pulled out of the void, a weird Indian torture chamber.
Yeah, like, in the first movie, there's nothing about this Indian torture chamber. In the book, I'm 99.9% confident there's nothing about this weird Indian torture chamber. But in this movie, all of a sudden, under the house is a weird Indian torture chamber. Like, someplace where back in, like, colonial America, some crazy puritanical fuck used to torture Indians for whatever reason. Basically, like, the quickest way to understand the difference between these two movies, honestly, is that the second one just gets rid of any semblance of subtlety.
Yeah.
And everything is just totally in your face, and you're just assumed to be a fucking moron. And it's just shoved in your face, like, here you go! Here you go! The house is evil! We're gonna hammer that in! Oh my god, the house is evil!
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how fucking evil this house is!
And
This is the evilest house you've ever seen! Indian torture rooms and shit.
In the first one, it's never really explained what's evil about the house.
No. In
There's
this
nothing.
one, at least they give you the stupid Indian torture porn dungeon. There's that scene. There's no way to segue into this, so it's just there's a scene where his wife falls in the water in the boathouse, and her hair just gets tangled in the fucking propeller of the speedboat.
And then George, like, hits the button and winds it up tighter, and she's drowning. It's another attempted murder by George Lutz.
He's kind of looking at her, and then he kind of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't kill her. And then he turns it the other way.
One idea in the second movie is that there really is a border to the evil of the Amityville house. That's really like...
Yeah, we touched upon it.
Yeah. Like when George leaves in the second film, he's okay. Like as soon as he leaves the house, he's just fine. Like there's a scene where he goes on a date with his wife. Yeah, and they're sitting around and she's like, babe, are you feeling better? And he's like, you know what? I am feeling better.
You feeling all right?
You know what? I feel better.
And then he goes to the doctor later in the movie, and the doctor's like, how you feeling, Mr. Lutz? And he's like, you know what? I am feeling better.
Suffer from headaches, nausea?
Actually, I feel great.
So they really wanted you to know that, like, it's definitely the house.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the movie, George is literally just chasing his family around, trying to kill him. Just actively trying to kill him. This is a real guy who, as far as we know, never tried to kill his family, who according to this movie, is going around trying to kill his family. Like, just chasing him with an axe, chasing him with knives, strangling his wife.
George Lutz in the first movie goes back for the dog. George Lutz in the second movie is knocked out by his wife and has to be dragged away from the scene after trying to kill his entire family.
Yeah, and then we were talking about that Amityville line.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as... Like, she drives the speed... In the first movie, remember how they get away by a car? Well, they changed it. In this movie, they get away on the speedboat for no fucking reason.
we changed a bunch of other shit. Let's make them have an ocean escape.
And they drive... They drive... I don't know. They get a certain distance... Like, I don't know, like... 20 yards away or something.
And George wakes up after having just been trying to kill his family, and he's like, oh... Are your kids okay?
Don't even look at it, Kathy. Let's get out of here.
You know, like, it's just back to Ryan Reynolds again.
I'm fine now. And it's not like, the house is like right there.
I had a thought about it.
You could still see the fucking house.
I just had a thought about this.
Yeah.
Do you think that they hammered that in to keep George Lutz from suing them? Like, if they just really hammered in that, man, it's the house. George is a cool guy. When he's outside this house, you see, he goes to the dentist, he's cool. Goes on a date with his wife, babe, I'm feeling fine. I'm George Lutz. But it's the house that done did it to him, TJ. I bet that's what it fucking was.
Maybe. That's like their cover their ass thing, like...
Plausible deniability. Well, Mr. Lutz, look, when you leave the evil house,
you're
a loving father.
We're blaming the house. We ain't blaming you. Everyone knows that house is evil.
Didn't work, by the way. Still got sued.
Yeah, and rightfully so, probably, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what is this weird, like, where is the line?
Yeah.
Like, is it literally like the property line? Like, do the crazy ghosts that inhabit the house just like, well, the property ends here. I mean, the rules of haunting are clear, you know, we can't go past this arbitrary boundary.
It'd be funny to take Ryan Reynolds back to the set and just see, like, where it was, like, have him be, okay, I'm fine, and then takes one step to the left, fuck you, bitch!
Yeah.
Fuck you, TJ! Oh, shit. Both of these films are bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they're both bad.
We're not recommending you watch either of them.
In fact, we recommend against it.
Yeah, please don't. But if you're going to, like, if you're ever trapped somewhere and a member of ISIS is like, you will have to watch one movie for rest of life, and it gives you these two, I would pick the remake, honestly.
Basically, you know, the first movie is like someone putting their hand on your fucking balls and just squeezing progressively harder over the course of 2 hours. Whereas, like, the second movie is just like, someone comes and slaps you in the face and then walks away.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I mean, IMDb doesn't agree with us on this, but I'm sorry, the Amityville Horror remake is better than the original by far. It's much more fun. It's much easier to watch. It's a terrible movie. Don't watch it, ever.
No.
But if you want to know which one of these shitty movies is less shitty, it's the remake.
It's not the one that you'll hear from people, wow, that's a good spooky movie.
Peace the fuck out.